So it's so you can say this about any country, but you all are very.
People asking me like, where do I find the time to prank call people? It's like, where do you find the time to let me prank call it? Bootlegger, bootlegger, bootlegger. Let's talk about it. Nelson and Pegger. This is books.
Basically, if you make a profile on like any one of these dating sites, those sites are likely to be part of like a larger umbrella.
This is Charles Baudelaire, La Fleur de Mal, The Flowers of Evil, The Dance of Death. Carrying bouquet and handkerchief and gloves, proud of her height as when she lived, she moves with all the careless and high-stepping grace. The extravagant courtesan's thin face, with slimmer waist in a ballroom wood, a floating robe in royal amplitude, pause indeed.
Can't seem to hold on to things this morning.
Shod, the bright flower-like shoe that gems the sod. The swarms that hum about her collarbones, as the lascivious streams caress the stones, conceal from every scornful jest that flies her gloomy beauty and her fathomless eyes, are made of shade and void with flowery sprays. This is Charles Baudelaire, La Fleur de Mal, The Flowers of Evil, The Dance of Death. Carrying book.
Good discussion and it's flowing solid, and then someone wants to come in and muffle it up. It's just like no.
This guy.
You know, Nathan is God in this room.
Look at this guy.
And sometimes what I'm trying to realize is that because Nathan is considered God, because he's considered God in his room, you know, God, when he does his favor or like his judgment, oftentimes we as, you know, his peasants, it's not always favorable.
Basically, if you make a profile on like any one of these dating sites, those sites.
I find this actually interesting because personally, even though I'm a person who doesn't like war, given that, you know, at some point you kind of get that understanding of what it leads to, and then of course you all have this, you know, antithesis to warmongering, but you still want to understand it even more so. What I think is interesting about war is that it's somewhat of a very natural thing, right? Even right now, as we're speaking within ourselves, there's a small...
We, the jury, find by a vote of
fleshless face. Say to these dancers in the dazzled race, proud lovers with the paint above your bones, ye shall taste death, musk-scented skeletons, withered and tenuous, dandies with plump faces, ye varnished cadavers and grey love laces, ye go to lands unknown and void of breath, drawn by the rumour of the dance of death. From Sain's cold quays to Ganges' burning stream, the mortal troopers dance onward in a dream. They do not see within the open sky the angel's sinister trumpet raised on high. In every clime and under every sun, death laughs at ye mad mortals as ye run, and oft perfumes yourself with myrrh like ye, and mingles with your madness irony. The thing with curcumin is you. Oh, irresistible with fleshless face. Say to these dancers in the dazzled race, proud lovers with the paint above your bones, ye shall taste death, musk-scented skeletons, withered and tenuous, dandies with plump faces, ye varnished cadavers and grey love laces, ye go to lands unknown and void of breath, drawn by the rumour of the dance of death. From Sain's cold quays to Ganges' burning stream, the mortal troopers dance onward in a dream. They do not see within the open sky the angel's sinister trumpet raised on high. In every clime and under every sun, death laughs at ye mad mortals as ye run, and oft perfumes herself with...
Wow, 12 people live. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. What are you doing here? What are you doing with your life? Why are you looking at my inflamed eye? It's disgusting. Stop looking at it. Why are you here? You're making me very uncomfortable. You haven't even subscribed yet. What are you waiting for? Subscribe right now.
Alright, so, I just feel like you got kicked off the app. So is there any way y'all both can support each other apps and just...
You guys are the ones
He just said he's calling it resistance. He's justifying October 7th.
Why can't I call it resistance? Is that not occupation that
They don't seem to be calling it out, really. That's
I just remember how, the people of Auschwitz, broke out and resisted, quote unquote, by raping and murdering babies and women and children. That was resistance.
If they killed a few German Nazi babies, then also it would have been resistance. I would have called it resistance. I would not have condemned it.
What does a Nazi baby look like?
If the Jewish, prisoners broke out, went to the nearby house, right, and killed a few civilians, I would not, condemn it.
You're cracking me up. I don't think you can hear my voice. You don't want to hear it, and that's fine.
Sorry.
Look, Aaron, that's fine. We've got some rules in this house, and especially
We got some hoes in this house. We got some hoes in this house.
Moderator needs to be able to. First of all, it's a one mic policy. Aaron. And if moderator needs to be able to interject, then that's our prerogative to be able to help moderate the conversation. Okay, nothing against you personally, it's just the way that we do things here. Johnny, thanks for being so patient. I'll get you to take the mic in just half a second. Just want to welcome Daniel onto the stage as well. Appreciate you being patient. And Elle, how are you, Elle? Nice to see you. Elle? Yeah, you got
I don't know. I don't know if you can hear me. I have a red bar. Can you hear me?
I still don't have power. How much you want to bet this bitch is going to mention that she doesn't have electricity?
I'll come back to you in a second. Oh, good. Okay, great. I'm glad to hear. Actually, Jay was saying that Daniel was next. Johnny, if you don't mind, do you mind hanging on for just for a minute?
No problem. I got you.
Great. Daniel?
I don't mind if Elle wants to speak before.
Okay, sure, Johnny. Thank you. That's good sportsmanship. Johnny, would you like to take the mic?
No.
Oh, thank you so much. So, this is regarding the Japanese incident, right? So, Marxist organizations are very notorious for being easily bribed. They just literally work for the highest bidder. So, the person who hired them in Japan, of course, they knew there was a Marxist organization and they're always horribly funded. They will literally do anything. Again, faithless, faithful. We're going to have faith in them. So they were funded by entities around the Middle East and Europe, like Islamist entities. They were funded, and the reason they were Japanese specifically was because the Japanese passport is very powerful, right? So they could pose as tourists with the Japanese passports and enter into Israel. They can literally enter into any country, right? But they were paid to be there by Islamist entities. So we just say why they're getting involved. You're also wondering, Japan is a
PFLP, not Islam.
country.
It's PFLP. It's PFLP.
Yeah, but the Marxists
That's not Islam.
for just they work for the highest bidder most of the time,
It was
especially.
a suicide attack. They were. It was a suicide attack. I doubt if they were paid literally.
Oh, and then their families must have been in debt, and a lot of deals are made where.
Do you know this for a fact or just?
Aaron, pause. Everybody, just pause up things. Okay, great. Sorry, Johnny. I'm just trying to protect the space. Aaron, like less than 3 minutes ago, I was saying that it's one mic policy. I just want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying, and that goes for everybody else. Johnny, please go on, and nobody, for that matter, interrupt what Johnny's about to say. Johnny, if you could keep it short and to the point,
I think so. When we just keep calling them organizations, and you understand why did they commit suicide bombing. And you usually have to check the bank accounts of their family members that did benefit, especially if they're in debt. That's how, especially around South Asia, that's how criminals are usually caught. We find out where the money is going, and then you're not very happy where it is. So, that's it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Johnny. Aaron, I've just got a quick question for whereabouts are you from, Aaron?
I am from your inner circle.
Ridiculous of Johnny's statement, right? Palestinian.
Aaron, I was asking you a question. Whereabouts are you from?
I'm from India.
From India. Okay. How do you identify? Are you atheist? Are you Jewish? Are you Muslim? You're Christian. Okay, great. Thanks, appreciate it. Daniel, thanks for waiting. Thanks for being so patient. Please take the mic.
Well, there were a lot that was said. I would touch on one point that you were talking lately about the religious war. I don't know how you can ignore the fact that from one side it's a religious war. They're saying it themselves. They call it a jihad, which is basically a religious war. The entire problem that they have with the Palestine issue is that Jews live there. For Israel, it's not a religious war. It is a thriving Muslim community, thriving meaning that it's growing. We have more than 20% Arab Muslim community. If we will take all Arab and Muslim countries and we will combine them, you will find less than 25,000 Jews in all Arab countries. And again, only in Israel, the small, tiny land, we have more than 2 million Muslims. We have no problem with Muslims. We are not fighting a religious war. We are fighting a war for safety and security. they are talking about jihad and killing Jews. If you listen to the rhetorics coming from, I would say, Gaza, you will hear that they are talking about Yahud. They're not talking about Zionists.
Let's
They're not talking about Israelis.
go!
They're not talking about land. They're talking about Jews. They're talking about killing Jews. They are being indoctrinated from a very young age that Jews are vile, that Jews are Nazis, that Jews are this and that and the other. I understand that there are many Muslims around the world that believe that Islam is the religion of peace, and I'm not saying necessarily that it's not, but you need to also acknowledge that you have that some people or some organizations, some countries are weaponizing Islam and a weapon, and they are indoctrinating, using them to create hate and to kill. So I don't want their religion to be fame. So this is why they protect it. I think that the best thing that Muslims can do is call it out, because saying that it doesn't happen will not solve the problem and will just make more people be afraid of Islam in general. I think the fact that we don't see demonstrations of Muslims around the world calling for Hamas a terror organization or saying that this is not Islam, it's a huge problem. So I will shorten this was my statement. Thank you.
Edward.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Muslims would call out terrorism. I mean, the fact that there's not widespread condemnation of the October 7th attack is terrible. I would also say that other aspects of the conflict, it would be good to at least have a intellectually honest discussion about those aspects. I mean, it is 100% true that after World War II, all countries, including Israel, signed on to an agreement that said if you occupy a land in a conflict, you can't transfer your population to that area. It is absolutely true that every 5 years the Israeli government passes a law that essentially gives citizenship rights to the settlers in the West Bank, and on the other side tries the Palestinian population in a military commission, which has like a 99% conviction rate. It's also absolutely true that Israeli law allows you to seize land if it's not used for 3 years. But on the flip side, the Israeli government denies like 95% of Palestinian permits to use the land. I just think intellectual honesty and acknowledging facts that don't meet your particular narrative is one of the things. One, you see this sort of thing when the conversation is elevated to more policy expertise, but it would be a much more, I think, healthier conversation if we kind of defined the things we are disputing and define the things we're disputing that can and cannot be justified. Like if you're sitting in a room trying to justify October 7th, you're already rolling down the river without a paddle.
Thank you, Brian. I've been listening for a while. I just want to say something. It might trigger some of you people, but you'll be okay. I promise. You want to sit here and say October 7th and, how Hamas is not a terrorist organization. And I was sitting here thinking, because Rohan was right, which is often, but we have a friend on this app who was a hostage. And when he was rescued, where was he rescued from? Was he rescued from an underground bunker? No, he was rescued from a civilian's house. And then people want to come on here and cry about civilians when they're enabling this. Let me tell you something. I'm reporting in New York. When somebody was invading our country and they were terrorists and they're right here across the street, I'd be like, yo, they're right there. I'm pointing those people out. So, I really wish you people would stop pandering for Hamas and just come with reality. Like, listen, we can't have an intellectual conversation if you come with the truth. Not your truth, not my truth, but the truth. Only was rescued from a civilian's house. That's all I wanted to say. Good morning.
Yes, a doctor and a journalist.
And by the way, Brent, you said that there was no widespread demonstration of Muslims against radical Islam. It's not the problem. Is not that there's no widespread. There's nothing at all. Like there are 2 billion Muslims. I'm talking about 50 Muslims, not 100,000. 50 Muslims that will go on the streets of London and will scream not in my name. You know what? 10.
Daniel, you made this point long back in one of your rooms, and I said that that's not true. I was even ready to give you exact proof of that. You kicked me out exactly at the that thing. And now you're repeating that same lie again.
Why is it a lie? When was
That's
the
pretty
demonstration?
shameless, dude. That is very shameless. It's
No,
an
show me the
absolute
demonstration.
fucking lie to say that, normal Muslims in London, right, have not spoken out against ISIS. That's an absolute shameless lie. There have been plenty of, examples of, Muslim community in UK who have voiced against extremists, Islamic terrorists. They have done this consistently. They do it basically every month. Even last week also they did it when they were falsely accused of Southport, stabbing. And when an anti-Muslim riot took place in UK on the false news that it was a Muslim who did it.
And
And
show me
it is
the
very famous of you.
I got it. Show me one. Show me one demonstration.
You should not have kicked me out that day.
Let him talk.
You should not have kicked me out that day. It happened just this week. I could give you an example from just
1
last week.
second. Relax.
Your
Relax, 1 second.
ignorance
You
is
said
not.
Hang on, wait,
not
pause.
a proof
Everybody
of what you
pause.
said.
Aaron.
You are the one who have to prove it.
Okay.
You are the one who have to prove it.
Aaron. Okay,
Can you?
thanks.
I'm asking.
No, hang on,
said
Daniel,
that
Daniel, hang on for a second, okay. Aaron, I know that you don't have a hearing difficulty because you can hear what I'm saying at the moment. This goes for anybody else, okay? When either myself or Jay or any moderator needs to be able to interject, just listen out for our voice. It's not an indication that you need to be able to talk over us. There's a reason why we need to be able to interject. Thanks. Just let's have a respectful conversation in all directions. Go ahead.
Thanks. Instead of calling me a liar, expose me as a liar to the room and put the link to show us there was one demonstration in the last 9 months saying that Hamas is a terror organization by Muslim or calling them, saying that it's not in my name. Expose me as a liar. Don't say I'm a liar. Prove me, and tell me and show me this demonstration that happened in London, in New York, in Paris, whatever you want.
Okay, I'm going to interject because Aaron, hang on for a second. I think the point that Daniel is making, just take it for what it is, okay? That what he's saying is that there has been an overwhelmingly vast percentage of people who are being pro-Palestinian, out and marching and so forth from literally the 8th of October, okay? Been out there and being pro-Palestinian, but nothing has come out effectively, right? Being, wow, what happened on October the 7th is terrible. Okay, virtually nothing by comparison. That's what he's saying. So forgetting about splitting hairs and saying, okay, well, there's 1 or 2 organisations here and there, and you know what? Great. At least there might be some. But the overwhelming percentage of people didn't give a shit. They did not give a damn. There was no condemnation whatsoever. No condemnation. Okay, nothing outspoken. There was no reaching out from organisations saying, "Oh, okay, look, we're terribly sorry. This is terrible. We need to do something about this." No, that hasn't been in the media. That doesn't come out at all. In fact, what has happened, and this is the crazy part, okay, this is the crazy part, there has been an increase of over 700% of anti-Semitic attacks around the world. Get that. So October the 7th happens, the worst event that's happened to Jews around the world since the Holocaust, and starting off on October the 8th, we've got people who are getting together, at the Sydney Opera House, calling out, gas the Jews, blah, blah, blah. Seriously? And then 700% increase in anti-Semitic attacks around the world. As opposed to, what happened was absolutely horrific. Women don't deserve to be stabbed in their vaginas and then be shot in the head. Men don't deserve to be able to have their heads cut off with spades. Babies don't deserve to be burnt alive. Okay? This is the ridiculous part about it. And yet there's justification, right, in some ways, in calling it a resistance movement. Okay, there's the lack of willingness to be able to take ownership and responsibility and saying, hey, you know what, there is a problem within Islam that we have all these terrorist organizations around the world. Something needs to be done. We need to stand up to it. But no, it's happened. The reverse has actually occurred. And what we're seeing here, right, as part of this conversation, sure, there's been some elements of, we'll take a little bit of ownership here, okay? But it's just a lack of, intellectual honesty.
All right, let me jump in here.
Right.
Hold on. Heard from both of you plenty. But I want to hear from Albie, because he said in the chat it's about land first, then religion. Albie, you there? Albie?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
All right, you got the mic. I'll expound on what you wrote in the chat.
Well, I mean, it's pretty clear. I think it's first land, then secondly, it's belief structure. Which, obviously, if you believe one way and you live on the border with guys with guns and people who support them around the world on both sides, what do you think is going to happen? Pretty simple.
So you think Israel went into Gaza for land and nothing to do with October 7th?
I think October 7th was one of thousands of different small or big acts that have provoked them for thousands of years, hundreds of years.
So Israel deserved to be attacked on October 7th is what I'm gathering you saying. Innocent civilians, children, women, that's okay. I'm just curious.
Has it ever happened before?
Yeah, it has.
Correct.
I'll explain to you, there have been tens of thousands of rockets that have been exploded and directed towards Israel, towards indiscriminate civilian locations with the purpose of killing as many Jews, as many Israeli civilians as possible. This has been going on for a long, long time. I don't know whether you're new into this conversation, whether you understand or appreciate what this is about. Ever since 1948, right, there's been this desire to be able to wipe Israel off the planet, and to be able to commit a genocidal war. It's documented. It's history. It's proven. It's a fact. If the Arab/Muslim countries in 1948 had said, you know what, this is fair. We're going to create a two-state solution here. There's going to be a Palestinian state. There's going to be a Jewish state called Israel. We accept it. We wouldn't be having this conversation. There wouldn't have been men, women, children being killed over all these years. Okay, what happened in 1946 was also quite a tragedy. It was a necessity. Right, 47, when India and Pakistan were divided, India was divided and there was Pakistan that was created. 14 million people were displaced. 1 million people were killed in this process. 1 million people were killed. It's terrible. But this is the reality of what happened at the time. If the Arab countries had said, okay, great, we're not going to commit a genocidal war, we accept that there is a need for two people to live side by side, not together, because of X, Y, and Z, great, but that didn't happen. Okay, and ever since then, there has just been this shame, okay, that has been hovering over Arab/Muslim countries because they have lost time and time and time again. And even what happened more recently with Iran attacking Israel with 350 rockets and drones. Barely a scratch. One person was killed. It was tragic that person was killed. But, geez, again, look at the shame that Iran should have, right? Because they were ineffective. There's a lack of acceptance. They don't want a two-state solution. Have a look at the charter of Hamas. It's very clear. It's bad. It's really bad shit. Okay? It's not about the Palestinian people perhaps not wanting peace, although we could have a look at some of the surveys and say, well, hang on for a second, they support October the 7th, 80% of them. But the charter of Hamas it is very, very clear. It's like, no, we want to destroy and wipe Israel off the planet, and we'll kill all the Jews as well.
So on the partition of Brent, hold on 1 second. I promise it's just gonna be quick. And Rohan, after they're done eliminating the Jews, who's next on that checklist? That'd be Christians.
First the Saturdays, then the Sundays. There you go.
Absolutely.
So on the partition of India and Pakistan, I don't think that comparison really kind of holds. If you look at the violence and the death in that particular partition, it was grassroots. In some, you had Hindu communities kind of go out and kill Muslim communities and vice versa. The actions of the Indian and Pakistani military, which let's remember, both were kind of divided at division, was generally trying to provide security for this kind of huge migration of the populations. Though there are incidents.
Brett, before you go on, just respectfully, it's not to be able to make a direct comparison between the two situations, but it's just to be able to highlight. Hang on. It's just to be able to highlight that contextually and that contemporaneously, there was
contextually and contemporaneously.
Pakistan was being created.
Pakistan.
Transjordan was
Pakistan.
All things were happening at that point in time. That's more the context. Just please continue.
So I was coming to my point. My point is. In 47, there is quite a bit of evidence that it was Israeli government policy to remove Palestinian village and do it by force. That was documented in Morris's book, 1947. And he was an Israeli researcher who got access to a lot of previously unclassified material. So those distinctions, I think, are intellectually honest.
Yeah, I think that's a fair as well. Benny Morris is probably the foremost.
Isn't that who I said?
Morris. Exactly. I was acknowledging that Benny Morris is probably one of the foremost experts on that regional history, especially around the 1948 period. He's got multiple books that have been written. His first one, which is 1948, is the second revision of that, is meant to be understood as being incredibly good. FA?
Yeah, first of all, I want to go back because I hear you that you speak always about Islam. I want to challenge you and everyone in the room who can bring me a clearly text where it is writing in the Quran that Muslims need to kill any Jews like that, writing like kill the Jews or the Christianity. I have challenged everyone in this room. If it was that writing, bring that to me. But the other who speak that in Islam or in the Quran says that kill everyone who is not a Muslim, kill everyone. That's all this lying because you don't understand the Quran. Please let me finish.
No, hang on. You're asserting something that I have not said and I've never said. So I just want to clarify. I've never said that there is documented evidence in the Quran saying that Muslims should go and kill Jews. Okay, just to clarify. But to be able to, at the same time, I'll posit that. Hang on. Hey. Okay, no. No, that's not something that I've said. But to be able to posit that within the writings of Islam through the Quran and other scripts, that there haven't been scriptures or writings that are anti-Semitic, I think would be intellectually dishonest. Would that be fair enough?
No, brother. Of course not, brother.
Then I hate that because. But let me back again.
Let-
About you speak also about the killing children and killing Quran. And if, as I say that, Hamas is not a terrorist organization for me, and as they go in the way of the Islam, they will never do that because that is clearly in the Quran, right? Not kill a kids, not kill an old man, not kill a woman. But if we go on Torah, we can find there where it's written, kill a children, kill a woman, kill an old man, and don't let any one of them. That's clearly writing. You need people read your books clearly and be fair and say the truth. And I repeat that again. I challenge every one of you, and we can do that in other rooms, when we can bring our books and you bring your books, and we see what is writing there and what's not writing there. And we see who say clearly in the book, kill the children, kill the women, kill the old men. Yeah, maybe it's kill the other men against men like me, like others, it's maybe there, but like children and kids. Cut off women, that's all is bullshit and it's not right in the Quran. Never. And I am challenged everyone. I think there's 200, maybe 100 in the room, 109. Every one of them challenge them that bring me a clearly text in the Quran, write it where kill the children and kill the women and kill the old man.
So who gives a shit? Who gives a shit what the Quran says, the Bible says, or the Torah says? Why don't we just all agree indiscriminately killing civilians?
I give.
Oh, that sounds like a good idea.
Now Brent brought up
No, brother.
point which I'm trying to interject after he said. That is the point here. You guys keep circling it back.
Sorry, am I being heard, or was there a problem with my mic?
Go ahead, Rohan. Go ahead, great Rohan.
Sorry, Edge. My mistake. I'll bring you back up. I was trying to point out something towards you. I'll bring you back up. Seems like there was a problem with my mic. Can one of the other moderators bring up? Books. There are going to be passages in there that we look back on and say, okay, this is not quite right, and that's fair enough. I don't think we'd have an argument with that. That's perfectly fine. And things move on and people move on. To be able to suggest that there's been ever an era or instance where there's been Jewish supremacy. There's been colonization, ethnic cleansing, terrorist organizations to the extent of what we're talking here. We're looking at what effectively you're trying to do, okay, is to be able to whitewash, and again, not to be able to put attention in somewhere completely foreign to the conversation that we're actually looking at, and that is what is happening today, what has been happening in recent times, and why is it that it's not being called out, okay? And again, it's not to be able to say that Islam is a problem, but to be able to suggest that there aren't problems within Islam is just, again, intellectually dishonest. Okay, and the question of going around this and trying to circumvent it and saying, well, have a look at the scriptures and so forth. Okay, it's horrific. I've got good reason to be able to bring up Hamas's charter because it calls for the death and the killing of all Jews. That's what I said. And it's not a feeling thought or idea, it's a fact. It calls for the destruction, the total annihilation of the Jewish state. Okay? That's a fact as well. That's what's happening at the moment.
About the book is also their banner says curse on the Jews. I don't know how you can understand this differently. Also, all those Islamic organizations are using the word Islam in their name. when they are like calling for the destruction and annihilation of Jews. So I don't know if it says in the Quran or not. What we are saying is that
Daniel,
Islam
it's
is
not
being.
right in the Quran. In the Quran,
What?
why did we speak about?
I didn't say. I didn't say. No, let me just finish. One sentence. One sentence. I'm not saying I don't know the Quran. Okay, I do know that Islam is being weaponized. I know that religious people in Islam are using their people to incite. I don't know how they do it, and maybe maybe people don't really understand and they manipulate the religion. I don't know. You know better. But the reality on the ground is that Islam is used as a weapon for some people. I'm not saying all, and I don't know if it's in the Quran or not. I'm looking at the reality of the ground. And by the way, not since the inception of Israel, you can go back of how Jews were humiliated. They had to wear gold belfries. They were not allowed to walk on a sidewalk where Muslims walked. The jizya. I mean, there's a lot of examples of how to humiliate Jews. So I don't know the Quran, but we need to face reality.
Okay, let me face reality. Let's start with the jizya. Explain me jizya, Daniel.
It's a tax that you pay from non-Muslims, where you have your tzedakah, but you ignore the fact that Jews also have tzedakah. We pay 10%. So we basically, Jews need to pay double tax, where Muslims have to pay one tax.
That's not a jizya.
I just got some news.
Then go and understand it better.
Sorry, can you hear me? Okay, great. I just got some news to be able to report out. The report is that Iran plans to carry out retaliatory strike on Israel on Tisha B'Av. That's August 12th and 13th. Western intelligence...
They're scheduling their attacks for the 12th. Oh, okay. Sounds like a great attack plan.
Iran and Hezbollah plan to launch their retaliatory strike against Israel on Tisha B'Av, the day of mourning.
Oh, it's a fireworks show.
Jewish temples, which begins at sunset on August the 12th and ends on August the 13th at nightfall. The sources indicate that the choice of the day is due to several psychological and tactical considerations. It may aim to revive historical traumas for Jews of destruction and uprooting, thereby amplifying the psychological impact of the attack on Israel's society. To Muslim audiences receptive to Iran and Hezbollah's narrative, an attack on Tisha B'Av would signal that Israel is vulnerable to destruction, the way the Jews have been historically. Interesting. Tisha B'Av would be signaling that Israel is vulnerable to destruction, the way Jews have historically been the source at. A large-scale attack on a day of religious significance may also exploit Israel's lowered defences and increase the state of chaos, the way Egypt did with its surprise attack on Yom Kippur in 1973, the source adds. Okay, I think it's really interesting that report comes out, like literally right now. That is literally hot off the press. To be able to suggest that there isn't any sort of religious connection, right, this war, again, this is just another element of proof to be able to suggest otherwise.
If I may, so I think it's fair to say that, this conflict, right, from the Palestinian side, yes, religion is there, and religion has been weaponized. But I think it is not correct, and I think Israelis knows this more than the rest of us that do, paint this purely in the religious sense. It's not about religion, strictly speaking. It is about land. Yes, the side it did, use religion to inspire support from the wider Muslim world. Yes, that aspect is there. Political, know the political significance of religion. You in US, most of you are from US, right? You know that, how it works in US and most of the countries of the world. So in that way, this is not that different from, other conflicts, in some ways. But it is not about religion. It is about land.
No, it's very different. It's that.
Oh, so if it is not about
government citing religious texts over context for war. Sorry.
Come on, if it is not about religion, then why is it
Any act of war in the U.S., we are a melting pot here, sir. Maybe you need to bid.
Oh, so there is no abortion ban in US.
What does that have to do with talking about
No, there is no abortion ban.
No! Why did you kick? Why did you kick? Why did you kick?
See, here's the problem. When you speak about shit like that you don't know, it's kind of comical because we're a collection of states. So there are a few states that they're...
Salutations, Grand Phoenix Rising, positive vibrations.
I'm good. Alright, cool. Hey, hey, man, have a little bit more respect, bro.
So it's great to hear everyone speaking about what they find to be their purpose and how they are out influencing, trying to help and work together with others, collaborating in any form and fashion. Some of this has been going on forever. Some of it gets destroyed by the system itself, torn down. If it ever gets a grip and start galvanizing people, that's when you know you stepped on or you challenge the system in a way that.
Are you talking about the Jews?
I'm going to give you your time to speak and I'll come on later.
Yeah, I like that PTR. You claiming that those 10 states in the United States, those are Freemasonic entities, and that there's 10 of them, 10 not 11, 10 not 9. And I just gotta say, that's a bunch of hogwash. You in a cult, and you worship Satan. I am complete.
I shot him in the head, man.
He shot me.
It's all good. It's all good because to be honest.
One brain neuron left and it is fried. Go ahead.
No, and listen, trust me, it's fine. Because of all the traveling I've done all over the world. No, this is all freedom of speech is one thing I do stand on, and if someone wants the opportunity to have a conversation, as you see, it doesn't last long. Especially if you don't come with anything that has of any value in people's lives. It's just a lot of yelling and screaming. So I always give, hey, you can have that moment. It's going to be short because you were bringing no value whatsoever. So I appreciate the time. It's great. Again.
Did he just project his own invaluability?
Going to all black school, integration, everything that happened, and watching the journey that I've traveled, and I'm hearing my life and all of you all's voices is just wonderful. So if you want to explore some of these different.
Alright, this is Poetry Podcast.
And then they'll order it, right? They'll order it, right? Yeah, so they'll order it, right? And, yeah.
And when they sold it to me, or when they gave
with the candy. Oh, don't worry. I actually grew up there, right? So you don't have to tell me, right? I can provide pictures or experience or the language, which you seem to have not got nothing about anyway.
Yep.
And systems of institutionalization and how hard it is to break out.
Okay, this is books. We're gonna read some motherfucking books. We got about 20 minutes left on the show. Then I'm headed to Alex Jones's beach house for an afternoon summer soiree. Joe Rogan is paying me $100,000 to perform comedy for him and Elon Musk, aka Adrian Dittman. 40 minutes, baby. Here we go. Let's wake it up. Of course, nobody text messages me. That means that no one actually wants to see me or hang out with me. I get the feeling it's because I'm so handsome and funny and sophisticated that people are intimidated by my je ne sais quoi. They're calling me the 99-cent store of Andrew Tate. It's right, I'm technically the 99-cent store of Andrew Tate's. Shall we read a book? What do you say? Can we pray the gay away? I don't think so. I think we're gay and we're here to stay. Oh well, I guess we'll just have to deal with it some other way. Okay, I'll be back. Please like, share, and subscribe right now before I come to you. I want you to come to me.